Hello and welcome back to another video. So today's video we have to go over to a field that we call Hollerins. I think it's the first field that I topped with the new topper, the topper that we fully rebuilt. So we have Weanling heifers over there and we have Weanling bullocks over there, and just recently, a couple of days ago, we started giving them buckets a meal. Which there's two reasons why we're doing this, and I explain why further on a little bit in this video. Now there's one thing I have to say, that the Weanling heifers and the Weanling bulls were in two separate fields before, and then a couple of weeks ago we just moved them together because obviously they're bullocks now, so they can't really do any damage to them. You know, they cannot really do what the bulls do. So you know, so we put them together. There's 7 Weanling heifers and there's 3 Weanling bullocks over there, so there's 10 in total. They're getting about 3/4 of a bucket of meal. That'll probably do them. So yeah, they're getting about 3/4 buckets, a bucket worth of meal, similar about that size there. And we have a double trough over there, so you have, it's like two, I don't know, do we have one here on the farm to show you? Now this isn't our trough, it's a job we have to do for a buck, but it's like a trough. We have a trough this side and then it's sort of joined to, you have another trough this side. I'll show you when we get there, to explain. But as I mentioned, they're getting 3/4 full of a bucket of, I believe it's 303 nuts. I can't remember. The docket is up in the filing system up in the house, but I believe, and I can't remember because we got this a couple of weeks ago, but I believe there are, it's either beef nuts or 303 beef nuts. I can't remember which one is which. I can't rightfully remember, but we're bringing the old fella's Jeep. I'm fully insured on it since 3 years ago, so there you go. Hopefully that'll stay there. I'm not going to be recklessly driving this yoke, but yeah, hop in and we'll head over. The bullocks were over in a field. The Weanling heifers were always in the field that we call Hollerins since we let them out day one. The heifers, the Weanling bullocks, were in a field that we call Georgians. It's over by my uncle's place. So they were there for a while, and we were always giving them meal since they were over there. Just to, obviously, to beef them up, because we're not going keeping them. Once winter comes and they're going to be housed and stuff, we'll be getting rid of them as soon as possible. We'll be selling them in the mart, and then obviously we're trying to beef them up a small bit, get the best price out of them that we can. Whatever farmer buys them will probably buy them to fatten them up even more and bring them to the abattoir and get them obviously killed and butchered and stuff like that for food. The only reason we kept them was just to basically eat the grass, because we have a lot of fields. The grass seems to still be growing quite rapidly, and at mid-September, I'm astonished by it, but the grass is still growing fairly fast. I thought the rate of the grass growth would slow down now because we're well into the autumn season now, but it's still growing. Even the lawns is growing rapidly, so yeah. But I think before I got distracted there, the Weanling bullocks were in Georgians, and we were giving them meal every day. The Weanling heifers, we weren't giving them meal. We were just obviously every evening, every morning or evening, whenever we got the time, we'd go over and check them to make sure everything was okay and stuff. But we weren't really giving them meal when they were being housed in there. The bullocks and the heifers were that side and the bullocks were sort of this side. Don't know if you remember, but there's probably a video on the YouTube channel of us giving them meal when they were in the house. but once they were let out on the fields into the grass, we stopped giving the heifers male, but we continued giving the bullocks male. And I don't know what the reason behind it was, but obviously we want to keep feeding the bullocks, obviously, to beef them up because we're going to get rid of them. But the heifers, I'm not 100% sure why we stopped. You know, because if we could build up their condition before we bull them, we don't want a trawny owl heifer when we're going bulling them, AIing them, because obviously it'd be an awful hard job to get a calf out of a thin trawny heifer. If we get a bit of condition on the heifer, it'll be more easier bull them and hopefully more easier to calve them as well. But anyways, I will head over to the field now. We'll give them their bucket of meal and we'll have a look at them and see how they're progressing, what their body condition score is like, and whether they have red water or anything like that, and just to make sure that they're all there as well. But yeah, I'll catch you there when I'm at the field. Right, so I'm after giving them their meal. I couldn't really hold the camera while putting the meal in, and I couldn't put the camera anywhere because I came in the gate and they were standing here waiting for it. When they see me at the gate, then they ran towards me as usual. And this is only the second or third day that they're getting meal, so they learn pretty fast. You can see that the meal is there and they're eating away. This one here is a heifer. What number is she? 215, and she's not looking too bad. She's getting beefed up. That one is this one here is also a heifer, but she doesn't seem to be as big as this one here. That's a bullock, so he'll be sold. This is I think this small heifer here was one of the last ones that was born, so was that brown one there. So obviously they'll be a bit behind on size and condition, but you know, they're not doing too bad. It'll take them an extra month or so to catch up. That's a heifer. The white one is a heifer, and this black one is a heifer. And I think that goldy one there is a bullock. But obviously I mentioned that there's 7 heifers and 3 bullocks. Better count as well to make sure they're there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're all there, none of them missing. Now this big bullock here had a bit of a limp on him the other day, so I'm keeping an eye on him. Obviously his ears weren't drooped or anything. Usually if there's a cow or bullock or whatever it's not feeling well, a bit ill, a bit sick, their ears would be drooped. So but his ears weren't drooped. He just wasn't walking right. There was something off with him. He just wasn't 100% right. But I think he's looking a bit okay, a bit better today. He was running with the rest of them when they seen me at the gate with the bucket of mail. So you know, I think he might have just got something caught in his leg or hoof or something, but he should be okay. She's a grand heifer, like. Sorry. That white one is also very, very good as well. But yeah, the 3 bullocks, so he's a bullock. No, sorry, that's the heifer. This is the bullock. He's a bullock. That one there is a bullock. And that goldy one just there is also a bullock. And the rest of them are all heifers. And I don't know if you remember, but this is the field I topped. This was the first field that the new topper topped. Obviously we topped the rushes quite high. Obviously you can see it there, but they're topped quite high, and they're still quite high. And I told the old man that it was topping high, and then when we came over to check on them, we walked a bit of the field, and he agreed with me that it was topping a bit high. But then he also said that if we topped lower, it'll be topping the grass as well. And the grass is fairly scarce here at the moment, and we are going moving them, which is one of the reasons why we're giving them meal. So hopefully that when we do want to move them, we can come in, maybe even throw up a small little runway using a bit of an electric tape, and have a man or two with sticks just to make sure everything's going smoothly, and then another man with a buck and a mail. Hopefully they'll follow the buck and a mail smoothly. And over at the far field there in the corner, you go in the wood, and we have a little sort of those fence gates, the gates where you have the barbed wire and stakes, and you have to, you know what I mean. But yeah, we run them through the forest, through that little gateway, and then there's a field the other side there which we call the Shroy, and that's where we want to move them next. But there's a field beside the Shroy, and we have 2 heifers and 2 cows and 2 calves that we want to move them elsewhere before we put these in the Shroy, because we don't like to have cows or cattle sort of in a field right beside each other, because they just won't, they'll be constantly looing over and back the ditch or the drain or whatever from them, and the chances of them trying to get to each other would be fairly high. And we don't really want any fences broke or anything, because there's a lot of fences that are due to be refenced with new fresh stakes that need to be driven in places, and you know, we don't want any more fencing work than that is necessary. But you can see that white one is still getting grass. They're still getting pickings of grass, but there's not a lot there. They'll have to be moved soon. But they're still eating the grass. They're eating the grass and they're eating the male, so that will boost up their condition as well, hopefully. But I think overall they're fairly good heifers. I think the plan is we are trying to keep all the heifers if we have the room. So that is the plan. We might have to sell a couple of cows and have these as the replacements, but the bullocks we'll be selling anyways, that's for sure. But we plan on keeping the 7 heifers and bulling them and seeing what sort of calves they throw out. Hopefully they'll be good, because there's a few fairly good heifers in there, so I'll be keen to see what kind of calves they throw out. And obviously, yeah, the bullocks are being sold. They'll be fattened here, they'll be fattened wherever else they go, and they'll probably be slaughtered. We're only a suckler farm, so obviously we only breed cattle. We use AI, and we breed cows, get the calves off them. If they're heifers, we tend to keep as many of them as possible. Sometimes any bulls we get, sometimes we might castrate them and turn them into bullocks. Other times we'll just leave them as bulls. But either or, we'll be beefing up the bullocks and selling them on in the mart if the prices are right. And obviously, if they're bulls, the farmer might keep them, whoever buys it. If they're bullocks, they'll tend to be fattened and shipped away. And then we tend to give the heifers the male, just to give them a good sort of body condition score, a beefy body, so that they're well able to hold the calf in them and throw out a calf hopefully easy as possible. We tend to bull our heifers when they're around 1.5 to 2 years, and these will be roughly 1.5 years, so probably coming on, they'll be closer to 2 years than 1.5 years. So yeah, a lot of these will be, well, the bigger ones anyways. The bigger ones would be coming on nearly 2 years, but the likes of the smaller ones, they might be more nearer, or just, you know, more near the 1.5 years than they are the 2 years, because some of these were born Christmas 21, and other ones would have been born then or would have been 2020, and then the other ones would have been born around January, February 21. I can't really remember. What I'd have to do now is get their tag numbers and look at the dockets. But thinking about that now, I do have a video called Meet the Herd or something, where I go through all the cows and all the Weanlings and stuff, go through their tag numbers, and then tell you what breed they are, what cow they came out of, and what age they are. So they are included in this video, so if you want to go back and learn more about what breed they are, what cows they came out of, what age they are, what year they were born and what month they were born in, I recommend going back watching that video. But they're finished eating the male. The trough must be empty, and there's some of them eating the grass. I want to look at this bigger buck, this bullock. I want to sort of hunt him on a small bit and see if he is... he seems to have gotten better. Up! He seems to be better, because the other day he just wasn't right. He wasn't walking right. But he seems to be way better now, which is a good thing. But yeah, you can see that even though there is very little grass, they're still picking out grass. It's not the best of grass here, but it's usually something. And this field in particular, Hollerins, every single year we always put the Weanling heifers and the Weanling bullocks into it. Cows and calves we don't tend to put. Since I was on the farm, and as far as I can remember, I've never seen any cows or calves in this field. It was always the Weanling bullocks and the Weanling heifers. But there was one year when we got hay, maybe it was 2 years, we baled this field to get hay. So yeah, this field was baled as well before, a couple of years ago. But as far as my memory goes, it's always been Weanling heifers and Weanling bullocks that we put in this field. And the cows and the calves we place more nearer home. Well, obviously our house is just, the farmyard is just over there. You can actually get to the farmyard by crossing the Shroy, the far side of that forest there. So, you know, you can walk to the farm from this field, but that's not the best of fields over there. Very wet fields, very wet. And they have the trough empty, so that's a good sign, that. But yeah, hopefully you could tell by the video how the heifers and the Weanlings are performing and how well they've come along since maybe the last video you've seen of them. But yeah, that is it. We give them male, obviously 3/4 of a bucket. I mentioned that at the start of the video, but we give them male I think it's every evening we give them male. Every evening we come and check on them and give them their male. And the two reasons are, hopefully that when we want to move them, they'll follow the bucket. They tend to follow it anyways, because every time they see me coming with the bucket, when I come in the gate, they were there. They ran towards me, so they don't mind getting a bit of male now and then. And the second reason obviously is to beef up the heifers for when we start bulling them, and to beef up the bullocks when we want to sell them, whenever we're selling them. But that is now going to be the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please do give me a like. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe and turn on the bell notification thing to be notified of every future video I upload. Don't forget to check out my merch and my gate mate. The links to them will be down in the description. That is it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.